Hi everybody, this is Brijesh Dalmia from Master Stroke, and today is 15th of July 2023, and we have a very special guest today, Deepak Jain, an old friend, continued friend for life, and he is the head of sales plus of Edelweiss Mutual Fund. Welcome to the show, Deepak.
थैंक यू सो मच रियली रियली मैं इस दिन का इंतजार कर रहा था कि कब आप मुझे बुलाओ
क्या
और मुझे मास्टर स्ट्रोक के पार्टिसिपेंट से बात करने का मौका मिले। मैं आज थोड़ा हिंदी में ज्यादा बात करूंगा अगर आपको कोई आपत्ति नहीं हो तो।
डिपेंडिंग अपॉन हिंदी इंग्लिश मिक्स करेंगे, हिंदी में भी कर सकते हैं, कुछ
जी
लोग आपका
जी
इंग्लिश में बोलेंगे उसको रिपीट कर लेंगे, बिल्कुल कर
टॉक
सकते
इन बोथ द लैंग्वेजेस, लेट्स जस्ट गो विद द फ्लो।
हैं. Go with the flow. So you were saying something, Deepak. So first things first.
तो यू नो आई ऑलवेज गेट रियली एनर्जाइज टॉकिंग टू यू। मुझे वैसे भी लगता है कि इंडिया में अपॉर्चुनिटी हर चीज में बहुत ज्यादा है, बट आपसे बात करने के बाद वो मल्टीप्लाई हो जाता है नंबर। इंस्टेड ऑफ गोइंग इनटू अरिथमेटिक प्रोग्रेशन आई स्टार्ट थिंकिंग अबाउट ज्योमेट्रिक प्रोग्रेशन। तो
Geometric
मैं
progression.
आज की अपनी जो बातचीत है ना, मैं जो जीपी से ही स्टार्ट करूंगा।
So nice of you. So, friends, today's talk is about, Edelweiss, lesser known facts of Edelweiss. And it's a very interesting talk. Stay with us. And Deepak will tell us what are the things many of us don't know about Edelweiss. So, Deepak, I will kickstart this discussion with the thought that Edelweiss 5 साल पहले जो था और आज जो है, में बहुत बड़ा फर्क है. Would you like to make a statement to start with that? What has changed in Edelweiss and where you stand today?
मैं काफी कुछ बता सकता हूँ, बट 2016 में अगर आप जाने, एक बड़ा इवेंट हुआ था। JP Morgan wanted to exit India business and Edelweiss acquired it of all the people. Edelweiss ka the AUM at that point in time was less than 1,000 crore and JP Morgan was at 7,000 crore. So a very, very small niche player went ahead and acquired somebody 7-8 times bigger. That was the big moment. It showed intent, it showed commitment. And then a lot of leadership changes happened, a lot of other things happened. Radhika, our CEO, joined the business in 2017. I joined in 2018. A lot of things happened on the journey, which we can talk about today. But I joined when the AMC was 10,000 crore 5 years ago. Today it is 1,10,000 crore. So a lot of things have happened.
So again, Deepak, and I will like to scratch your head and I will make some statements, observation for you to respond. लोग एडलवाइस को भारत बॉन्ड नाम से जानते हैं. You want to make a statement here?
So पहले मैं कुछ एडलवाइस के बारे में बताता हूँ, फिर भारत बॉन्ड के बारे में बात करते हैं. मैंने कहा था कि आज की जो डिस्कशन है हम जीपी से स्टार्ट करेंगे, करेक्ट? So let me just share this screen. Is it visible?
Yes. You can enlarge it, yes.
So Brijesh, my question to all you and your participants is that is 1000x growth possible in your lifetime?
Yes, it is.
It is. I mean, अगर आज आपका AUM 100 करोड़ है या 20 करोड़ है या 25 करोड़ है, तो उसमें आप 1000 लगा सकते हो 8 साल में, 10 साल में?
पॉसिबल तो बिल्कुल है, बिकॉज जिसका 1 करोड़ था AUM, वो 15 साल में 1000 तो पहुंच गया है. तो अब सवाल है कि 10 में हो सकता है कि नहीं. आंसर इज यस.
तो ये कुछ नंबर मैंने कहीं से जुगाड़ किए हैं. ये समथिंग which was 0.16 8 years ago, 9 years ago became more than 100. 0.16, 16 पैसा था कोई चीज.
Very interesting.
So, something which was 0.16 have crossed 100 in 9 years. Can you guess what is it? This
is
ये
the
है क्या?
AUM of Edelweiss. This is an easy guess. This is an easy guess.
So 14 में 160 करोड़ का AUM था, 160 करोड़ का. प्लीज इस नंबर को आप ध्यान दें. बहुत सा मोदी सरकार की शुरुआत हुई थी उस समय. 160 करोड़ थे हम और 1,10,000 करोड़ पे पहुंचे. ऐसे बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल है. मैं मानता हूं कि जो हम बिजनेस कर रहे हैं ना, उसमें अपॉर्चुनिटीज की कोई लिमिट नहीं है. एंड दिस इज नॉट अबाउट एडलवाइस, दिस इज अबाउट ऑल ऑफ यू. इन माय ओपिनियन ऑल ऑफ अस स्टार्ट एट जीरो ओनली. तो जीरो का कोई भी अगर मल्टीप्लाई करोगे तो वो इन्फिनाइट ही होगा. बट द पॉइंट दैट आई वांटेड टू स्टार्ट विद दिस, Edelweiss AMC out of nowhere 8-9 years ago, not in the game and is now in top 12 of the asset management chart. We are not just about Bharat Bond, as you rightly said, Brajesh. अगर आप भारत बॉन्ड को हटा भी दें तो भी हमारा AUM 50,000 करोड़ से ऊपर है. भारत बॉन्ड, वी आर वेरी प्राउड ऑफ भारत बॉन्ड because we created history by a very small player joining with government of India launching India's first debt ETF, and it opened doors for the entire target maturity segment. मैं प्रोडक्ट से ज्यादा ना सोचने के तरीके पे बात करना चाहता हूँ कि हमने कुछ अलग सोचा तो देखिए कितनी बड़ी कैटेगरी क्रिएट हो गई। हम सब अगर कुछ अलग सोचें, कस्टमर का सोचें कि इससे मेरे कस्टमर को क्या फायदा हो सकता है, तो अपॉर्चुनिटी की जो साइज इंडिया में है ना, हम सोच ही नहीं सकते हैं। द पॉइंट दैट आई एम ट्राइंग टू talk is that Edelweiss is not about A product, B product. It is about, how do we look at things? How do we look at opportunities? How do we look at clients? जो भी कुछ करते हैं ये सोच के करते हैं कि हम अलग क्या कर रहे हैं और उसमें क्लाइंट का भला क्या होगा। क्विकली जस्ट मे बी आपने कहा कि एडलवाइज में और क्या क्या है जो कि यूनिक है। We can talk about it right now. We can,
So I want to come to that question. So friends, the MFD friends has a good point. एडलवाइस को कुछ साल पहले तक कोई नहीं जानते थे और कुछ सालों में अभी भी लोग के मन में ये शंका है या सोच है कि एडलवाइस का मतलब भारत बॉन्ड, बट इट इज नॉट ओनली भारत बॉन्ड. They are saying 50% of their AUM is other than Bharat bond, 60% of their AUM, 50% of their AUM. This is phenomenal. So this is a lesser fact, known fact about Edelweiss. And Deepak, हमारी जो आपसे बात हुई थी, तो you said that your AMC stands for innovation, and one of that innovation we discussed was BAF. Would you like to, inform us, tell us your story about BAF, how it is different from other BAF, and where you stand in terms of performance?
Excellent question. See, हर प्रोडक्ट कैटेगरी जब डेवलप होती है तो एक या दो या तीन प्लेयर एक किसी सोच के साथ आते हैं और बाकी फिर उसमें आ जाते हैं कि हाँ इसमें मार्केट डेवलप हो रहा है, करना है हमको साथ में मिलके। मैं इसको गलत नहीं मानता, ये मार्केट प्लेस है, इसमें ऐसा ही होगा। लेकिन जो लोग नई सोच के साथ आते हैं उनमें कुछ ना कुछ बात अलग होती है। वो उस समय आए जब कुछ नहीं था, जब कैटेगरी नहीं थी, उन्होंने कैटेगरी क्रिएट की। सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल हमने बैफ लॉन्च किया एंड इट यूज्ड टू बी कॉल्ड एंड बाय अ डिफरेंट नेम। हमारा बैफ 2009 से है। अगर आप देखो कि ये कैटेगरी का जो प्रोग्रेस हुई है लास्ट 5-6 सालों में हुई है, बट वी लॉन्च्ड एन एब्सोल्यूट रिटर्न फंड विद द सेम मॉडल दैट वी आर फॉलोइंग टुडे इन 2009 एंड 2016 तक जब हमारा जेपी मॉर्गन के साथ मर्जर हुआ, हम उसको वैसे ही चला रहे थे। खाली फर्क ये था, वो पहले मॉडल था 0 to 60% एंड देन इट मूव टू 30 to 80%। अंडरलाइंग मॉडल सेम था। व्हाट इज दैट अंडरलाइंग मॉडल एंड व्हाई इज इट डिफरेंट इज समथिंग दैट आई वांट टू टॉक अबाउट। सो मैं 20 साल से इस इंडस्ट्री में हूँ और ऑलमोस्ट 24 साल से इस मार्केट में हूँ। हमने बहुत सीखा है, ये बहुत सुना है कि गिरते हुए बाजार में आपको खरीदना चाहिए और चढ़ते हुए बाजार में आपको बेचना चाहिए, बाय लो सेल हाई। वी हैव हर्ड ऑल अबाउट इट, बट द फैक्ट इज दैट इट इज नॉट वेरी इजी कि आप बिकॉज यू स्टार्ट बिकमिंग प्रेडिक्टिव एंड वी ऑल्सो नो दैट मार्केट इज द किंग। मार्केट की अपनी चाल होती है, चीजें जो हमको नहीं दिख रही होती हैं आज के दिन में मार्केट को पहले दिख जाती हैं, and that is why we have followed a model which is completely different. So this model, unlike many of our peers which looks at valuation based data, so for example people would look at price to earnings, price to book. So agar PE ऊपर जाए तो आप you reduce your equity exposure, if PE comes down you increase your equity exposure, so on and so forth. We have followed a very different model as far as hedging the fund is concerned. So what we look at trend based factors. We look at 1 week and 2 week daily moving average.
Just a minute, sorry to interrupt. I want to tell the audience, Edelweiss balanced fund has a different strategy. बिल्कुल उल्टा करते हैं। जैसे अभी इंडेक्स 66,000 है, they are increasing the exposure. If I'm not wrong, last time when I saw it was more than 70% in equity, whereas other funds in the BAF category are now 35-40% in equity. They are selling equity, whereas Edelweiss is buying equity. So इनकी strategy क्या है? बढ़ते बाजार में equity लेते रहो momentum के साथ, गिरते बाजार में बेचना शुरू करो, and they are telling you that they have outperformed. Yes, please. Pro-cyclical.
Yeah. So the entire industry is on valuation based principle, which is counter cyclical. This आप cycle के against में खेलते हो basically. You are going against the cycle, and market cycles have in India and emerging markets have proven to be very strong. It can last for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. If you look at broad markets in India, actually we are in a bull run since the fall of 2008. 2008 के क्राइसिस के बाद से हम एक बहुत बड़े बुल रन में हैं, बीच बीच में फॉल्स आते रहते हैं, बट वी आर पार्ट ऑफ दिस entire movement where Nifty has moved up from almost 6, 7, 8,000 to 18, 19, 20,000. तो ये इतने बड़े बुल रन में ना, if you start looking at valuation based metrics in a very very stringent terms of the word, you may actually remain outside of equity for a very long period of time. There are some of the funds, अगर आप देखोगे जो 100% PE PB पे है, वो एक्चुअली हमेशा 30-40% के इक्विटी एक्सपोजर से ऊपर नहीं आ पाते. सो अगर 30-40% का इक्विटी एक्सपोजर है, तो हमारा मानना है कि अगर if you want to deliver higher returns with 2% expenses, it will become very very difficult for you to deliver those returns. So what do we look at? We look at short term indicators, we look at medium term indicators, and we look at 1 year volatility. A combination of these three things gives us कि market में तेजी है कि मंदी है, which way the market is headed. Now our model will be successful in 75% of the time. हम 25% wrong भी होंगे. कब wrong होंगे? There is a classic case of October 2021 to March 23, where markets actually did a journey of 10,000 points with zero returns. It's like आप यहाँ से निकले, बॉम्बे से निकले दिल्ली जाने के लिए, लेकिन बॉम्बे के एयरपोर्ट की चारों तरफ आपकी फ्लाइट चक्कर काट रही है. So you have burnt everything that you have in terms of fuel, but आपकी जो डिस्टेंस की जो कवरेज है वो जीरो है. तो हमारा मॉडल उस चीज को पहचान लेता है, और उस पीरियड में वी आर अनएबल टू डिलीवर एक्सेप्शनल परफॉर्मेंस. But when we underperform by 2%, 2.5%. But when we catch the trend, which is 75% of the time, our outperformance is 4, 5, 6%. तो जब भी आप पूरा साइकिल देखो, चाहे आप 2020 का पूरा पीरियड देख लो, जहां पे आपने बेयर मार्केट भी देखा और बुल मार्केट भी देखा, यू वुड फाइंड अस ऑन टॉप, कि हमने डाउन साइड भी प्रोटेक्ट किया और अपसाइड में पार्टिसिपेट किया. आप 5 साल के रिटर्न्स देख लो, यू विल फाइंड अस आइदर एट नंबर 1 और नंबर 2. मैं बोल रहा हूँ बहुत कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ, नंबर 3 भी नहीं है. So this is what has worked for us.
Very nice, very nice. Any other innovation at Edelweiss which people are not aware of?
So हमने काफी इनोवेशन किए हैं अभी recently. So let's talk about March 2023. What happened in March, Prajesh? We all know that all of a sudden debt taxation was introduced. This basically means long-term capital gains on fixed income or hybrid instruments with lower than 35% equity exposure became chargeable at full rate of taxation. It was a big change. I am not saying positive or negative. It was a big change. So what we did, we found a solution, because when we talked to partners, we spoke to clients, everybody, especially in the higher tax bracket segment, people wanted a solution where tax can be optimized. So the demand was that you launch a 60% fixed income and a 40% arbitrage kind of a product. That category wasn't available. We went to the regulator. Regulator clearly said that we will have to go to the Department of Revenue if you want to get something like that launched. So we found a product called multi-asset fund. Okay. Multi-asset fund, the requirement is only 3. You have to have 10% exposure in 3 asset classes, which is equity, fixed income, and commodity. I mean, we are restricting ourselves to gold and silver. Now, one can easily do fixed income. There is no problem to maximum possible. To get the indexation benefit, you have to have more than 35% equity. But this was a product which was a replacement for fixed income. So आपको ये 35% equity को arbitrage में convert करना पड़ेगा. So 36% arbitrage हो गया, but अब 10% आपका gold का exposure है, जो कि open है. It does not actually make a fixed income product. So what we have done gold silver arbitrage. So we have converted a growth product into a multi-asset income fund. If I was allowed to rename this fund, we will call it multi-asset income fund. जो structure हमको आज समझ में आता है, कस्टमर को पोस्ट एक्सपेंस 6 से 6.5% मिल सकता है. अगर आप 10% का एफडी लो जो कि अवेलेबल नहीं है, तो आप इस प्रोडक्ट के बराबर में खड़े होंगे, बिकॉज टैक्स रेट फॉर द अल्ट्रा एचएनआई इज एनीवेयर बिटवीन 36 to 39%. So this is a replacement for something which many of you would be struggling, कि अगर 8% की एफडी और 40% टैक्स है, तो 5% से भी कम आपको पोस्ट टैक्स आ रहा है. यहाँ पे मैं आपको 6-6.5% का पोस्ट टैक्स दे रहा हूँ. We can talk in detail about the products whenever your partners want, but this is again one such innovation that we have come up with.
Very nice. And I also understand, correct me if I'm wrong, that you have something called listed pre-IPO fund or something.
Yeah.
Is it working well? What is the response?
So let me just go back in time. If you look at investing into equities in India, for a retail investor, for a layman, investing into equity was IPO में application लगाया कि नहीं लगाया. वहां से आपकी शुरुआत होती है. Every issue used to get issued at 10 rupees. Then book building and other things came in, and then it became very complicated for a lay investor. Even in those days, it was like हर IPO में आप application लगा दो, जिसमें मिल गया और वो successful हो गया तो you will make some money. It was kind of a lottery ticket, and we believe that investing should not be a lottery ticket. It should be it's your hard-earned money, and you should put it to use in the most efficient manner. So with that thought, we launched a product called Edelweiss Maiden Opportunities. अभी नाम उसका recently listed IPO fund है, but 2018 में हमने 3 प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने के लिए ये फंड लॉन्च किया. सबका क्वेश्चन होता है कि इस IPO में पैसा लगाना चाहिए कि नहीं लगाना चाहिए. So we solve for that problem. Selection का problem, whether you should invest or you should not invest. किस भाव में खरीदना चाहिए, whether the price at the IPO is good enough for us, because you don't know, you don't have enough research data, you don't have enough information, so you want to rely on somebody. It cannot be your friends and family. So if a fund manager does his own research and tells you or manages through this fund whether it's you should invest in IPO or post IPO, this is a very big question that we answer through this process. And the third is whether will you get application if you want to invest or not, because it's restricted. But in the QIB segment, you can, with the amount of money that you have, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि you want to invest 10 crores and there is a 20 times subscription, you can actually apply 200 crores, which is not possible at a retail investor level. So we are solving a problem for investors in these 3 spaces. How have we done? We have beaten the benchmark by 10%. Simple.
So Deepak, this is interesting. So Deepak, I want to ask you or understand from you, are you getting enough response from the MFD community? Are you happy about it? What would you like to tell 200 odd people who are listening to you right now? Why should they look at Edelweiss? Can you showcase any performance, anything where they have missed out? Because, always, and please allow me to say this, of course, you are not a small AMC anymore. You are ranked 12th out of 45 AMCs, which is a pretty recent number. You are targeting to be in the top 10. Top 10 is a very big achievement. You are not very far off from that number. But still, please allow me to say this. People still consider Edelweiss to be a small AMC. So how do you change this mindset? And are the performance numbers exciting enough for MFDs to look at, and why should they look at Edelweiss?
So, it's a very good question and valid one. And it reflects more of our, let's say, lack of extra effort from our end. I would not blame it on MFD, because I understand, with 40 AMCs and 4,000 products, it's not easy. People like me and my team has to make more efforts. But and this is a great beginning, I would like to say. But I also would like people to open up to opportunities, that life is not just restricted to X and Y. Our job as MFD or advisor, I mean, I know the word is a very critical one, but as a market participant, where our job is to get information, declutter everything, and present it in front of the clients, it's important that we do the entire scanning of opportunities. We cannot restrict ourselves in terms of size, etc. Size is the biggest killer of innovation, in my opinion. If size becomes a filter, innovation cannot happen. All innovation happen at a certain size and then they grow. Like Edelweiss became 160 crore to 1 lakh crore because of the innovations that we have been able to make. So you should open up minds and look at products, remove the size filter and see what are various AMCs doing. People call us Bharat Bond AMC, somebody calls us Balance Advantage AMC. But if you look at the entire basket of products, we are there. I mean, you compare us with any AMC that you like, और उसके 4-5 फंड को आप यहाँ पे रख लो और मेरे से कंपेयर करवा लो. I am saying it with great deal of responsibility, Brajesh, whether it is large cap fund, whether it is mid cap fund, whether it is small cap fund, जो भी आपको segment अच्छा लगे, and top of the mind में आपके जो 4-5 fund हो, उसके साथ आप मेरा fund compare करो, we will be 20 and not 19. I'm not saying 21
A
because
very
that
strong
is
statement.
arrogance. 21 would be arrogance, but 20 is confidence that we will be there. I'm not saying that we are outstanding, but look at us, we are doing very good job. For example, let me just talk about one product which is very old, mid cap fund. This used to be called JP Morgan Smaller Companies Fund. In 2000, it was launched in 2007. The fund started in December 2007, and then the NAV went up all the way down to 2.25 or 2.4 or something. But if you look at last 10 years of its returns, it will be a top 3 fund. Top 3. I am not saying Q1, Q2, Q3 में इन सब jargons में नहीं जा रहा हूँ. We are talking about straightforward number ranking. With a 15-year fund which had gone down to 2.5 rupees is a top 3 fund in the last 10 years. It's a 3,000 crore plus fund. It is not 200-300 crore ka fund. 3,000 crore se upar ka mid cap fund with a 15-year track record, the 10-year number being 3, 7-year number being 5. It calls for at least some attention. I am not saying that Sara paisa aap Edelweiss mid cap mein dalo. That is not possible. But look at us. There's a mid cap fund, there's a small cap fund. Again, there's a lot of talk around the small cap space, Brajesh, right? बहुत heated up है, बहुत बड़ा है, बहुत छोटा है. First of all, this mid cap, small cap का, I just wanted to declutter. नाम पे मत जाइए, because our definition of mid and small cap is based on ranking. It is not based on size itself. So let me explain. I was in DSP in my previous era, and when we launched our micro cap fund, we said any company with a 50 crore profit will be a company that we would look at. 50 into 20 to 1,000 crore ka market cap. That was the definition of small cap at that point in time. Do you know, Brajesh, what is the largest small cap stock today in the country? Size kya hoga?
Could be a few thousand crores.
It is 10,000 crores.
Oh.
The mid cap space is between 10,000 to 50,000 crores. These are not mid cap companies. You know, in US, there are 1,000 large cap companies because the definition is based on size. Because if you attain a critical mass, then you become large cap. It's about critical mass. It's not about rank. See, rank relative में अगर market यहाँ पे आपका 60,000 है, कल 2 लाख भी होगा आज से 10 साल बाद 15 साल बाद. If you are bullish about our economy, that will get reflected in the market numbers itself. So जो आज 25,000 करोड़ की market cap की company 1 लाख करोड़ की भी हो जाएगी तो आप उसको mid cap बोलने वाले हो. So don't get carried away by these nomenclatures. Now let me come to the point. A lot of people talk how you should select a fund. So we have kept very simple. As far as a small cap fund is concerned, you should look at high liquidity. That is stock level liquidity, which basically means कि आप, if you get redemption, would you be able to sell your funds in the proportion of the stocks that you hold? Otherwise, you will sell one and it will impact the other. Second, funds with low cash, and third, funds with low large cap exposure. This is our definition of a small cap, pure play small cap fund. And if you start looking at from this filtration, you will find interesting data. There are funds, and I have just named. So in the green, you have funds with high liquidity, low cash, and low large cap exposure. No problem. These funds don't pose a problem which is systemic in nature. And on the bottom, you find funds with low liquidity and pose a lot of risk due to redemption, which could be systemic in nature, because these funds are large and they don't have liquidity, and they are not even hiding in large cap. So all funds are not same. Point that I'm trying to make, look at us differently because we are managing money very, very differently.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So I want to ask the audience in yes and no. Did you know before this talk by Deepak about these facts about Edelweiss? Yes or no? The lesser known facts of Edelweiss. Please write yes if you already knew about all this, or please write no about these things, which will have some understanding. So Deepak, a lot of people are writing no. And if you have any question, you can put in the Q&A box. We have time for a couple of questions. We'll take that question. And Deepak, if you want to have any other view on this lesser In fact, not, because I'm done with my questions. And you have
So
explained.
something I want to spend some time on. Like I said, small need not necessarily mean inferior in business. Small cap is beautiful, mid cap is beautiful. They just mean that they are growing in their growth stage. Similarly, uh, a smaller asset management company doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't have enough firepower, enough manufacturing capacity. So this is a slide where I'm just highlighting our investment team. First of all, we have a unique uh, way of splitting our investment team. Unlike many of our colleagues or our competition, we have divided our long only equities and hybrid equities as a separate team. Our belief is that the person managing long only has a different perspective. You only look long India. I mean, generally you get too bullish. But when it comes to hybrid, when people want to invest in equity savings, in balance advantage, they are looking at risk adjusted return. They are not looking at the maximum possible return. So the psyche that is required is different. Hence, we have a hybrid and solution team, which is completely separate from the long only team. So my BAF, aggressive hybrid, multi-asset, arbitrage, asset allocation funds, etc., are not managed by our long only team. It is managed by a team of Bhavesh Jain and Bharat Lahoti. They are again supported by 5 analysts. We have a very large alternative team. We provide you solutions in the range of unlisted companies, startup company to mega caps of the world by our partnership with JP Morgan. JP Morgan के 6 fund हमारे platform पे हैं. The US Tech Fund, the China Fund, the US Value Fund. So through our funds, we provide you access to 80% of global equities. 80% of global equities. और इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में अनलिस्टेड से लेकर मेगा कैप्स तक सब कुछ अवेलेबल है प्लेटफॉर्म पे एंड दिस इज आवर इन्वेस्टमेंट कैपेबिलिटी.
Fantastic. And I think Mr. Jitendra has put it very nicely. Problem is, every expert comes with some different data, and it is also unique at the same time. Don't know whom to trust. I think trust is not the right word. What to do, basically, because every fund house, every expert comes, and this proves, Deepak, that you have made your point very, very clear, and it is much appreciated by the audience in the sense that, okay, again, your data is very, very compelling. And so I will have this question to you, and I asked this to one more gentleman in our previous shows. Your data is very compelling, and so tomorrow, if we listen to someone else, his data is also very compelling. And so if we listen to a large AMC with a large assets under SDF, or for example, the SDFCs of the world, and they came out with a data point for the small cap fund that look at our performances. So the debate of the large and the small funds are over because this is our performance. And that is also very compelling. How to navigate this explanation by experts? How do a mutual fund distributor decide where to invest?
It's a fair question. It's a very, very fair question. But the point is that you have to filter some of these things. That is why we are paid for, right? To declutter a lot of information. I'll provide you X information, which I think works well. And I actually have to believe that many of the fund houses, most of the fund houses are telling you the truth. They are not telling you anything but truth. Why? Because they believe in a certain way. You also have to filter it, what works best for you. Having filtered it, then you have to hold them accountable for what they have said. For example, I'll give you an example. So I have, made a point about liquidity. So you can always say that I would like to know data of your funds as far as liquidity is concerned for last 15 years. If I'm able to provide that data, then at least I'm backing what I'm saying. The results could be different for different people based on the data that they provide. Let me just, show you something. So we launched a fund called Focused Equity Fund last year. We could have just, said like many that this fund would be 25 best ideas fund. So हमारा जो flexi cap fund है उसमें से हम 25 best idea निकाल के यहाँ पे डाल दें. I said that's not good enough. I mean, just a concentrated version of another fund is not good enough. So we said we will come out with a theme or multiple themes which will be long lasting in nature, 10, 15 years. So we put out 3 themes like, brands, market share gainers and innovators. And we would like ourselves to stick to these themes for next 3 to 4 years. मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि ये theme काम करेगी, but you have to hold me accountable for next 3, 5, 10 years. If I am changing it every 2 years, then whatever data I present, I am not showing conviction. It's important, whatever data I show it with consistency and with conviction. If you buy that point and buy 2, 3, 4 such points, you have to stick with it. Whether it is Edelweiss, whether it is HDFC, whether it is SBI. I believe that all of us, most of us, I would say, with a few exceptions, are telling the truth. The opportunity or the trick is that what works for you.
Final question, Deepak. What do you think about the equity markets? What is the fund house call for equity and debt?
So again, as a house, for a very long period of time, we debated this, that is it a good thing to keep talking about equity markets, give a view, but I understand where this question comes from. And Rashesh, our chairman, puts it brilliantly that he had brilliant 25 years, but very terrible 100 quarters. And India is like a great opportunity when you look at the horizon, but a lot of kitch and a lot of kichad when you look at immediate. And the reality of kichad is very, very real. The reality of today's problem is very, very real. The reality of kitch is very, very real. So if you don't answer that, if you don't tackle it, you may not necessarily go to the horizon, which is very, very beautiful. So yes, you have to tackle these questions as far as market is concerned. So I'll answer this, having given a long caveat that it may or may not be very, very true. What we see from a medium-term perspective, as far as India's economy is concerned, that our micro has never been that good. I mean, if you look at corporate India, the balance sheets are deleveraged like anything. The strength is so immense. You look at bank, the NPA situation has been almost been tackled, and they are looking for growth. So it's a great combination where the borrower is light and the lender is light. It calls for a great capex cycle for next 7 to 10 years. Look at the PLI scheme. The PLI schemes have worked beautifully. We believe we have already seen signs of capex-led growth for the next 7-10 years. Second, we believe that we have already started a real estate super cycle. So any real estate super cycle lasts for 7 to 10 years. And in that, super cycle, what happens? The initial part, your inventory comes down, and then supply and new project starts coming in. When this new project starts coming in, it supports 40 sectors. I mean, just imagine the kind of impact it can have on the economy, the ancillary. And I'm not saying that play the real estate. I'm just talking about the fact that there is a huge opportunity, because private capex and public and individual capex in last 10 years have actually stopped. You are just dealing with the inventory. And right now there is a situation where this can actually go very, very far. And the third is defense-based opportunities. I mean, the kind of opportunities that we are talking about, if you just put numbers for next 10 years, the demand is so strong that nobody can actually meet the supply. Put all these things, these three things together and add consumption to it. Just to give you some sense on consumption. If you look at India's GDP today, it's close to $4 trillion, correct? And we are, 140 billion people? But when you look at per capita, it looks very pathetic. It doesn't look great. But don't look at India in that sense. Divide this GDP into two. 2 trillion versus 2 trillion. Now, this 2 trillion that I'm talking about is represented by 10 crore people only. 2 trillion, 10 crore, per capita GDP, $20,000. These are developed world statistics. 10 crore ki country you will not find with a 20,000 per capita GDP.
Interesting, very interesting.
So anyone who's catering to, any business who's catering to this segment today is doing exceedingly well. That is why
point.
all
This is
the
a brilliant
point,
Deepak. This is a brilliant point. Yeah, please carry on.
Yeah, this is a brilliant point. But if you look at, आप जाते होगे restaurants में, malls में, hotels में, everything is so expensive and people are talking about recession. ये recession है कहाँ? I mean, it's a question now. Where is this recession? Because people like us, I would like to believe, represent at this point in time, rightly or wrongly, I'm not getting into the social aspect. We represent this 10 crore people, right? So there is actually no gloom and doom. I mean, it is doing very, very well. And from a 10, 15, 20-year perspective, we will keep adding these 10 crore. So India mein se multiple developed countries nikalne wali hai. You have to look at India as not just one country, it is multiple countries. And that's why our runway to growth will be not 4, 5, 3 years or today's market or tomorrow's market. It will be 10, 15, 25 years. आप जो budgeting करोगे, आप wrong होगे, आपका business उससे ज़्यादा बढ़ेगा. You just have to keep going. So from a market perspective, also, we believe that market will be very, very good. Near term, our view was that first half will be slowish and second half, right up to the election, it'll do very, very well. But I don't want to get into numbers because it can be here and there. Those are point kam ya, those are point jada. Look at the long-term narrative. A lot of money to be made in India.
Deepak, two small points here. Nitin Chandra has made a very interesting observation. Do you agree? And you want to make a statement that bank supported AMCs get support of the banks. Is this one of the reasons that you have faced challenges in distribution?
I don't want to hide behind somebody's strength and my weakness. I believe that there are great examples. I mean, and I have no shame in talking about people like Mirai. In past, Nippon did very, very well. Birla did very well. UTI did very well. Templeton did very well when they did very well. I mean, I'm sure they can make a great comeback again. So if you have good product, if you have support of partners like yourself, I think no bank can actually keep us from growing. Yes, it'll help, but it'll also expose us to doing certain things which we otherwise won't want to do. Taking some short-term success. Again, I'll quote Rashesh: "Easy decision, hard future; hard decision, easy future." So yes, our life would be tougher today, but we will, we will be at least more hardworking. हमारी चप्पल हम ज़्यादा घिसेंगे, and we'll reach out to the every nook and corner of this country, and we'll find innovation. We'll cut cost. We will ensure that we do 7 baje Saturday ko this program rather than just go to the bank and get money. I actually don't want to really get into that argument, but yes, it has helped a few people. 2005 globally there was a big change in US where a regulator came out and said that you cannot have both the distribution and manufacturing capacity in the same house. So what is their strength today could become a weakness. So you don't know. Merrill had to sell out its business to BlackRock at that point in time, right? Do you know why IDFC had to sell?
No, and this is a very interesting thing. And Venkatachalam also said that you are making some very interesting observation, and we need to call you again. These are very, very unique information.
So post 2006, RBI stopped allowing holdco structure. उसके पहले जिसको होल्डिंग कंपनी का स्टेटस मिल गया, बैंक कैन होल्ड बिजनेसेस. 2016 के बाद मना हो गया. So that's why IDFC Bank could not hold the IDFC mutual fund, in its portfolio. Please, somebody from IDFC Bandhan may have a different view. I'm just presenting my view. If I'm wrong, correct me. But holdco structure was not allowed for the new banks. And one regulation changed the landscape. You will not find new banks holding, mutual fund under the same umbrella. They'll have to, have a different structure. So one regulatory change can actually change the entire game, and you should be prepared. In fact, a lot of people called us on 24th of March asking that, "Arey, kya ho gaya, Deepak? You must be very sad that debt taxation has gone away." I said, very good. I mean, if I don't disrupt, myself every 5 years, someone else will disrupt. Somebody is being very nice and kind to me for making me think and grow for go for the next 5-10 years of our journey. We'll be happy with disruption. We are child of disruptions. We like change and we will adapt. The skill set that will really work for all of us will not be regulation, will not be anything. Only two things: customers and your ability to adapt. If you have these two things, kuch nahi hoga.
Few words on Masterstroke before we say bye.
The more I get a time to talk about Masterstroke, it will be very, very less. I mean, I have seen your passion. I know Brijesh since 2006 when I joined DSP. उस समय DSP के बारे में भी यही बात होती है, DSP को कौन जानता है. Calcutta में, where I started my business, the overall AUM of DSP at Calcutta was 70 crores in 2006, and we met Brijesh there, and I've seen his passion on reading. I've seen his passion on learning. I've seen his passion on keeping work-life balance in a beautiful manner. I remember our conversations in 2008. And then, to be honest, I was a skeptic when Masterstroke first started. I said, "Ye kya hai jo khud ko hi Masterstroke bol raha hai?" I'll be honest, right? It's like giving yourself adjectives. But when I see the platform, when I see the responses, I think it is a masterstroke. It is a masterstroke of the decade, perhaps the century.
Thank you so much. And I want to, I have to say this, end on a note, and I want to quote Deepak, which should stay with all the participants. And during our breakfast meeting, if you remember at Hyatt a few months back when we were meeting, And you made a statement, and stayed with me. And Deepak ने एक statement दिया, any distributor will have to make an effort not to grow. Deepak said, Brijesh, जिस MFD का 50 करोड़ का AUM हो गया ना, उसको मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी कि 500 ना हो, ऑटोमेटिक हो जाएगा if he stays in the business for the next 5-10 years. It's a big statement and a big motivation for all of you that if you are in this business, just stay in this business. You don't have to do much to grow. You have to do a lot not to grow just by staying in this business. Thank you so much, Deepak, for being with us, and all the very best for the next lakh of crores at Edelweiss. And we wish Radhika, you and all your team members at Edelweiss a fantastic journey ahead.
Next millions of happy customers.
Thank you so much.